Okay, right, we're back on this Cheltenham Fawn again today. Today I've been insulating, today I've been driving around to get some insulation. Basically, we've used a foil insulation. This is a Screwfix one. It's one of the cheapest, not as in quality, but the cheapest to buy. You've got to be careful because some of them are like 50-60 quid a roll and it's the same stuff. Toolstation or Screwfix sell it. It's pretty cheap. So what we've done is, probably can't see from there, but done the entire side. Basically what you do is you just get a contact adhesive or trim fix, stuff like that, but basically just spray it onto the wall, just allow it a few minutes to go off, and then spray on the back of the foil and just allow that, then give it a few seconds and bond it to the wall. It doesn't have to be sort of tidy, it doesn't have to be immaculate, you know, it is what it is at the end of the day. You know, but this one, I'm going to go over the top of it again, even though that's one insulation, and you know, I can feel the heat building up inside this van. You know, it's only been sort of half an hour, 40 minutes, and the difference in heat is, it's starting to warm up. Insulation is kind of doing its work. Some of the wiring's been put in. I've done the wiring for the lights, the reading lights. Probably can't see again, but there's one there. And the switch that goes on the door. A little tip with these things, you probably know all this, so tie a knot in the end of the cables. Worst thing in the world is you poke them through the wall board and you think you've done, then you go and pull the other end and you pull it out. Also run the wiring across the top of the caravan, on the roof side of it and down. There's cupboards that screw onto this side of it, and there's a bed that screws onto this side of it as well, so you know, chances are in sod's law you're going to put a screw through something, and I've done it, so it does happen. So there's that side of it. The wiring for the backlights are in, for the reading light, and the wire that runs back over towards the battery unit. In the rear, where the lights, the rear lights, the wiring for the rear lights on it. Originally on these things, behind that cupboard that sits at the back, there should be an inspection plate. Make sure you run the wiring on top of the foil, and you know, line up the block connector with the hole in the back of it. Right, okay, today we're back on this Cheltenham Fawn. I'm going to bore you a bit more with all the rest of it. Right, today I've been insulating. As you can see, it's nice and shiny and bright in here. So this is a foil insulation. This is a Screwfix insulation. Comes in, I think, a 10-metre roll, I think it is. $18.99. Really, you know, it's cheap as chips, really. You've got to be careful. Some of them are really expensive. Some of them are, you know, mount up in price. So basically, the insulation's installed on this side. Basically, all you got to do, make sure there's no dust or crap on the aluminium on the outside. Get some trim fix or contact adhesive. Spray it onto the aluminium panels. Give it a few seconds. Then spray on the back of the foil and allow that to go off. Once it's gone off, then you can stick the foil to the van. There's a lot of sort of people say about these things with this sort of insulation and all the rest of it, because these vans originally had rock wool in them, fibre wool, whatever you want to call them. So it's kind of like, there's a bit of controversy, but I've always found that once you take these things apart, the fibre wool has fallen its way down to the bottom and sat on top of there, so you're losing a lot of insulation. You know, it's not doing its job and all the rest of it. You know, the other biggest thing with these things is ventilation as well. Try and keep it as well ventilated as you can. You know, you need to put some in the floor, put some little vents in the floor, some drop vents or whatever you're going to use. Put them in the floor, get some air through it. You know, these vans have got single glazed windows anyway, so you're never going to make it absolutely, you know, it's never going to be perfect, is it? So at the end of the day, and the skylight above is the same as well. The skylight is, you know, it's a thin sheet of fiberglass, so it's, you know, it's not going to insulate. The only thing you can really do is get a thermal blind or whatever and whack it across the top. But yeah, so that's that side of it. Right, so I've put the wiring in. Started putting the wiring in for the 12-volt lighting. So this is for the reading lights. There's going to be one here, one there, and one this side, and one on this wardrobe, which you can't see. And this wire is for the switch. So anybody know anything about Cheltenham's, there's a little light switch that goes just inside the door. so I'm going to put that back because it's kind of, you know, it goes back to its original sort of thing. So yeah, so one reading light there, going to be another reading light in the corner there, and then the two on this side. Going on to the wiring as well, probably said it, but make sure you go across with the wiring, because you know, you got to put cupboards and bed frames in, screw them to the framework. Sod's all, you're going to put a screw through it, guaranteed. And I've done it, so I know it happens. At the back, where the wiring for the backlights are, put the wiring on top of the foil. There's a block connector in the middle, should be in the middle. If you remember the original caravans, the chest of drawers that goes in the back of it, there's an inspection plate in the wallboard behind it, which lines up with that block connector. It saves yourself a ton of trouble. If anything goes wrong with the rear lights, it's always going to be down to wiring. You know, the lights do go, but it's going to be down to wiring and stuff like that. I always solder all the connections. You shrink wrap on them as well to keep the moisture out of them. The little push connectors and all that, they're not really sort of thing. They're a pain. They're a real pain. But you get yourself a decent sort of gas soldering iron, and you know, a bit of solder, and it's, you know, you can do a really nice job of it, and it's nothing's going to happen, sort of thing. But if it does happen, and you've kept the inspection plate at the back, then you can pull the wiring through by connecting it, and you can replace the wiring without having to mess about. The rest of it runs under the van, so that's not really a massive issue. The other thing is, which you can't see either, but the door. Make sure inside the door there's a little bit of trim, wood that goes across the bottom. That's to hold the stainless steel trim on the outside of it. Make sure that wood's in tidy condition. Otherwise, you know, like over the years, screws have pulled out and whatever, you'll end up having to bond it on or whatever. Same with where the door catch mounts to. Most of them, in experience, they've been pulled off or whatever. The holes are elongated. Make sure there's a new piece of wood on there as well, or it's in tidy condition, because all this stops you going back over it, and you finish the van and then you pull the door and the door handle comes off. You think, oh, I wish I'd done it. The door's been insulated inside as well, the foil. I'm gonna do another layer inside the door as well. As I said, you just try and make it as warm as you possibly can. You know, people do tend to caravan now through the winter. So, like, you know, you really do need to keep it warm. I'm going to fit a diesel heater in this one. I didn't mention this yesterday, but I'm going to fit a diesel heater in this one. And I'm not sure with the tank. I can't stand those plastic tanks the diesel heaters come with. It only needs a very low wattage diesel heater, because this thing will warm up in seconds. You end up switching it on, switching it off, switching it on. So just a low voltage one, you know, low kilowatt. Keep it low as well. But the diesel tank, I'm toying with just trying to get a little tank to mount under the caravan, tuck up it behind the chassis somewhere. Because if you've ever had these diesel heaters and you mount the actual plastic tank inside the van, if you spill diesel, you're never going to forget about it. It's always going to smell of diesel. Diesel is like gearbox oil, it just never goes away. So to have it under the van, mounted out the way is ideal. So yeah, so the next stage now is to come across and do all this wiring that runs across here. I've got as far as the corner. I need to insulate it, that side. Then probably the next video will be showing the battery and where all the 240 wiring goes and all the rest of it. But you'd be surprised how quick these things come along. You know, it's within a week, it's going to feel like a caravan inside. You know, it's a shame the furniture's damaged. Because that's going to really slow things down. Getting bits ordered and, you know, stuff like that. I'm missing one of the front window rubbers. Deliveries at the moment are diabolical. So, you know, it's things like that. But it gives a chance to do, you know, slow down a little bit and do a few other things to it as well. But as I say, you know, you put your mind to it. It's surprising how quick they come along. But anybody can do it. It's nothing skilled about it. It's just take a bit of time and. You know, it's achievable, and you can keep these vintage caravans going, and you know, that's what it's all about, really. And hopefully enjoy next summer. So yeah, I'll catch you again, and next time it'll be about the wiring and the lights and all that stuff. Anyway, cheers.